Hi, I'm Darwin the Immortal, and this is Lessons. Growing up, comic books and superheroes stuff have been a big part of my life. I can remember from reading comics of Spiderman, Batman, Superman, the Incredible Hulk, and to even watching shows on television. All of that has just been a big part of me. I would even say that if it wasn't for heroes and the stories about the heroes and the lessons have even shaped who I've become as an adult. One of the lessons that I had to not only learn but relearn was a part of the comic book mythos of Spider-Man, where Spider-Man, his Uncle Ben, always had these famous special words that I'm sure a lot of people know, and that was, with great power comes responsibility. In other words, just because you have the power to do something, don't mean you do it, or even if you have the power to harm someone or whatever, don't mean you do it. Or in other words, try to find another way. And so I had to relearn this lesson recently, even as an adult, where I got into a mild scrimmage, if you will, with my brother, where we were about to come to blows or whatever, and for some reason, something just happened where when we were tussling around, I somehow picked him up and threw him. And I don't necessarily know how I did it per se, or I just didn't realize that or pay attention to my own strength or whatever the case is. But I realized, wait a minute, I don't know if I could do this. Something just was holding me back, and just as I was going to complete the striking blow, I couldn't. It was just one of those things, and that lesson from Spider-Man, his Uncle Ben, just spoke to me. With great power comes great responsibility, and you shouldn't do it just because you can. Yes, you could do it. Yes, it would feel good, but don't mean you should do it. And I guess that, and pretty much my mom being there, just kind of it stopped me from causing further damage or any type of harm. And so I'm thankful and grateful for that one particular lesson. So one other lesson and thing that I learned and picked up on during that altercation was that I noticed that my brother, he kept trying to provoke me over and over, no matter what, tried to do and say anything he could to get a rise out of me or to get me to retaliate. And it was very reminiscent of the altercations and interactions between the Batman and the Joker, and how there was always those cases where the Batman, he would always grab the Joker and cause harm to him and beat him up and things like that. And if you ever get a chance to watch or read Sean Murphy's Batman the White Knight, definitely do that, because just like my brother in that moment, I felt like Batman, or I felt like my brother, he was, I felt like this person wasn't well. Because it was like, what kind of person wants you to beat them up, right? Or cause harm to them. And that's kind of what I felt like was happening. And I just said to myself, I can't beat this person up. Even though it would feel really good to do, I realized I couldn't do it. And it just reminded me so much of how Batman would continuously beat the Joker up. But when you really look at it, the Joker wasn't well. So it's like, and in Sean Murphy's writing, Sean Murphy makes the correlation between mental health to where in that particular story arc, the Joker completely got exonerated by making the case to say, hey, look, I wasn't well, and you people failed to see that, and you just kept beating me up. And so for me, I just felt like whenever I would refrain from retaliating, even though it would have felt good, and I know I could have done it, I could have caused harm. I just chose not to, and I felt like when I chose not to in that moment, that maybe somehow or another I became stronger than Batman. So ultimately, what I ended up having to do was just have my brother escorted from the room from where myself and my mom was. And that was probably the best option because that removed him from the environment and, let myself and my mom get rest from that point. And that was the best thing because, number one, I didn't have to use any physical retaliation or anything like that from my own self. And I found another way. So what was the lessons I learned? The lessons I learned was that true strength is not so much about how much weight you can lift or bench press or how tough you are or anything like that, but true strength and toughness a lot of times is just your ability to find another way or to not use force or physical force. And that was, for the most part, what I've learned. Definitely Spider-Man's Uncle Ben says, with great power comes responsibility as well, and just ultimately just making the best of a situation. I would even throw in Bruce Lee's The Art of Fighting Without Fighting, which was what I definitely had to do. So that was pretty much it. I'm glad that I didn't resort to violence or anything to that point. I'm glad that I was able to pay attention to details, and I felt like that even though it was a lesson that I had to relearn, I felt like overall I became a better person.